by Jessica and Kenya against the Harts, Devon and Judith. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'll hear all these at the same time, although I will make a separate decision as to each one. Okay, but I think it makes more sense and it's probably less confusing to all of you if I just let you present your case as to both Judith and Devon and have Judith and Devon respond to your case against them all together. All right. And if that gets too confusing, let me know. All right. So I'll try and keep it straight, but I may need to ask you questions from time to time to make sure I'm not getting it confused. So before we get started then, can I have each of the parties raise your right hand, please? And do you each swear that the testimony you give in these matters will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah, I swear, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to let Jessica and Kenya go first, and I'm using your first names just because you share a last name, and it'll be more clear for me, and I think the record if I say it that way. Okay, so go ahead.
So Kenya Ramos. I was in a relationship with Devon Hart for about a year. And he would have his daughter over. He has custody with his daughter right now. Throughout the relationship, it was fine. Devon had told me he was struggling with substance abuse, and his mother knew that. And I thought I was able to work with him through that to try and help him throughout that year. It wasn't until maybe like months ago before I put this petition order, when I would just notice him having his daughter, he wasn't really able to function on some things as a parent. And to me, it was hard to try and help him and his daughter. I felt like I was not being supported when it came to that situation, or when I would try to voice my feelings or concerns to his family or to the people around him. It seemed like that was just getting swept under. I didn't really know his daughter's mom, so I had went out my way to kind of talk with her, especially when these concerns were being raised. And I just didn't know what to do in that situation when it came to his daughter and him and leaving that relationship. So when I would go talk with his daughter's mom through text or call, and I just felt it was right for me to tell her like the concerns I was having when it came to Devon's performance when taking care of his child. Because at that point, like, I had made that decision that I didn't want to be in a relationship with him, but I would go over to when he wanted help, especially when it came to taking care of his daughter. And I just felt like that was a lot of responsibility for me to take on. And so when I had told Jennifer Scott, his daughter's mom, about it, I didn't realize, I guess, like how big this was when I heard her, I guess, her voice of just being concerned as a mother for her child. And so that led us to calling Child Protective Services. And from there is when the harassment started, when it came both from Devon Hart and Judith Hart.
Can you tell me specifically what it is they did that you're concerned is harassing you?
He had came over the first time, I guess that same day when the call went through and we called to the police. Um, and my parents, I wasn't there, so my parents told me this, that he had came ringing the doorbell and talking in a manner they didn't really understand him too well. So that was just the first thing. The second time, my brother had came home, and I guess he was pulling in the same time, and he was just yelling at him, or cussing him out. From there, it would just escalate. Like then him and his mom, that we had a neighbor that's next door to us because his mom lives like across from us. Devin doesn't live there, but he would just start come over to quote unquote visit his mom all of a sudden, all the time, and they would go to the neighbor's house that are right next to us. They would start parking their car in that neighbor's house just to come over and I guess look or see what we were doing, or they would just make comments. From there, I think what really set me off more, or why I was really more concerned, was when my mom had told me that when she was leaving the neighborhood to pick up my dad, Devin was coming. And my mom didn't recognize that it was Devin driving, but until he had gotten close and was playing on the road, like trying to hit her in the car or driving around. It happened twice. One was with my sister, and the second time my mom was by herself when it happened, where he was just driving around recklessly, like just acting like he was gonna hit them or do something. And that to me really had bothered me. Um, from there, then it was his mom and him talking to the guest, like we had guests over and they were just talking about, I guess, my parents' immigration status and telling all the neighbors about my parents' immigration status and just harassing the guests, just like being racist, I guess, making racial comments. Um, and that was my concern, I guess, because being under the influence in general, like I just don't know what he was gonna do. I never thought he would go to this far to be physically violent or wanting to be physically violent. And having his mom supporting that, that to me is what has been bothering me. And just hearing my parents concerned about their safety, especially because they know where they work or being right across from us. I don't know what he's gonna do or how he's gonna react.
Jessica, do you want to add anything to that?
Um, well, for me, like he was harassing me by just sending me text messages or calling me. And same thing, he was just either threatening to call ICE on my parents, and he would like send me pictures of him filing out a form, or he would threaten my partner as well. Like every time he would come over, he would just start yelling at him or just getting kind of close to him. But it's mainly just that, like he was just texting me while I was at work and wanting to get my attention. Um, he wanted me to get my attention so I could tell my sister, and but that's pretty much it. I mean, at night sometimes too, he would call me while I would be getting home and just wanting me to tell my sister to answer his texts. And so a lot of times getting home at night, I would get scared just thinking they were there. And a lot of times in the mornings, because it's a two-story house and I sleep on the top of the bedroom and my window's right there, a view of like the whole street. And a lot of the times they just drive by and blast their music, or I can just hear them like kind of yelling outside, walking by there. But yeah, that's mainly my concern. I'm just concerned for my safety and my parents.
All right, then, Devon, can I hear from you first?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute it, Your Honor. Yeah, so the relationship recently has been about a little over a year. Um, and recently all of this started, there was never an issue. I had gave Kenya an STD, and she's always battled with insecurity. She's really insecure, always worried about me going back to my daughter's mom, um, when that's never gonna happen. And she honestly has totally ruined and destroyed multiple lives in this. She's made a bunch of false accusations, went to CPS, and I have a lot of proof. She's dealing with a lot of substance issues herself. She loves shrooms, and it's just so crazy. I'm on 63 days without seeing my daughter. Um, if anything, I need a protection order from her. I'm trying to go over all the allegations right here, but I did go to their parents' house one time. I rang the doorbell. Her mom and them have always been so racist to me because of my ethnicity and my American bullies. They think that the pit bulls are going to eat them or something. And so her mom saw me at the door. She locked it. And so I just walked back to my car. Her dad came out. And I just said, for the last 7 years, as long as I've known your daughter, from my mom pulling her off a bridge from suicide attempts, so anything, all I've ever did is love your daughter. If I've ever hurt her, like not physically, but emotionally, it's never been intentional. And I just said, I hope you guys are blessed. I never cussed at them. I never was aggressive to them. Um, as far as her sister, I've never texted her sister except what she had mentioned maybe twice to ask her to let me speak with Kenya. Um, if anything, I did make threats. It was to her boyfriend, and I told her like he can't come in the cul-de-sac because he was choking her out, and her parents allow him to do that in their house and have sex in their house, but I can't come nowhere near the house. It's a problem if a black man comes near the house. And um, basically, all this stems from me giving her an STD and her just being messed up on substances. And I haven't, like I said, seen my daughter in 63 days. Um, I don't know what she did for the first day of school. She's missing basketball, gymnastics, and then her going out of her way. She went on my daughter's tablet to get my daughter's mom's number. And this is the third time, and it's like three strikes, you're out. Every time that she did that, it resulted in something bad. My daughter's mom like physically assaulted her when trying to serve court paperwork to her for our parenting plan. And this is all a ruse too. This has my daughter's mom written all over it. Like Kenya isn't the sharpest tool in the box. She has I believe she means well when she does some things, but she doesn't even know what a protection order is, and that's just the number one play out of my daughter's mom's handbook. And it's to have my mom involved in this when my mom has done so much for her, more than her own parents, is just crazy. Like she has me right now parked on the side of the road. I'm in Florida helping with the Milton recovery effort with my family. And like I said, it's really at the end of the day impacting my daughter gratefully. I'm the only consistent thing my daughter's ever had in her life, and she should worry about her own family and her own problems before doing any of this because she way overstepped her boundaries with no legitimate reason. And uh, that's really all this. I just asked that you drop the protection order. As far as her saying I only come over there to mess with her, we've been at that residence since 1993. My dogs are located there. My dad is battling prostate cancer right now, so I go over there to help him and take care of my dogs. Um, and so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the point or reason for any of this except her being upset that I had given her STD. Because once that happened, then all of this crazy stuff started happening.
All right, thank you, Devon. All right, Judith, would you like to add anything?
I would love to add, where should I begin, Your Honor? Would you like to ask questions or probe any particular
Well-
scenario or
You're Devon's mom, right?
absolutely 100% biological son? We are related in that manner, Your Honor.
And I mean, do you have any personal knowledge of any of these interactions?
I
that
do,
they
very
described?
much intimate knowledge. I've embraced this for over 7 years, Your Honor.
And you support what your son was just telling me?
I do support most of what my son has stated. However, he did not include some of the most essential or critical elements to this case. And I have already made an intentional plan to request a motion to the court to sever these combined, or if you will, consolidated cases for the simple and clear reason that I have no bone or issue or involvement in the matter of harassment. I simply happen to be a henpecked mom to Miss Kenya Ramos. I have very little knowledge of her sister, Miss Jessica Ramos, and have only interacted with her one time when she was invited to my home approximately 1.5 years ago by her sister, Kenya, and I met her and we had a very gracious introduction. However, some of the comments Miss Kenya Ramos has cited in her petition filed with the court, as well as her audio testimony given to the courts, I still have yet to be able to determine or understand how she was capable of persuading the courts through her urgent and compelling reasons or matters of harassment examples, because none of the examples that she has provided in her court testimony are accurate or have any merit to me or my namesake.
Well, I think I can get, kind of to the heart of what you're asking for here. And I kind of have the same concerns as I was listening to both Jessica and Kenya tell me, what was going on here in this relationship, what the basis was for asking for the anti-harassment order, what the harassment was that, led you to come to court and ask for that order. And while I can certainly understand the tension, in the relationship, and it sounds to me like the tension in the relationship goes out beyond just between, just in between Kenya and Devon, but out into your families. And there's obviously conflict that's going on there. None of this is legal harassment. And, when we say harassment in just ordinary conversation, just talking to each other, we mean something different than what the law defines as harassment. And being, quarrelsome or being difficult or being nasty, those things aren't harassment. That's just people maybe with bad manners or with, maybe in some cases, even if, like what you said, bringing up things like immigration status and racial issues, those are sometimes really hurtful things to say to people. And they're maybe reprehensible even, but in the context that they've been offered here, they don't constitute harassment. They might in other kinds of contexts, but not what's been described here. So I haven't been offered any basis, a legally sufficient basis to issue an anti-harassment order in either of your cases against either of these two respondents. So just the evidence is just not there. Now, conflict is there. I get it. I understand you have described that there's a bad, broken down relationship that has resulted in there being conflict, and there's been, as a result of that, some unpleasant things said, but that I can't issue an order for. Okay. So I'm sorry that it doesn't bring you any help, but that's how I see the application of the law here.
And Your Honor, I forgot to mention one thing too. If Kenya was so concerned with all the harassment, I got a text from her and multiple phone calls. I believe it was Thursday or Friday night, and it was just adding more to my stress. Like, I would say the harassment is more coming from them because I have nothing to her. And so for her to call me and say she loves me and all this other stuff, it's just, I didn't know it was her because she never said it was her. I had to pay to do a number search and try to report it to the Thurston County Sheriff's Department to support it in this case. But I just wanted to add that as well. Like, if she was so concerned, she wouldn't be reaching out to me telling me she loves me.
All right, well, you won't have to worry about the order now. The temporary order that was previously issued is expired and over now, and there is not a new order issued in any of these 4 petitions. So,
Your Honor,
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I address the court?
Sure.
Thank you. Very brief. I wanted to state that due to Devon receiving multiple text message and phone calls from mystery persons or persons, I contacted the local jurisdiction in the state of Florida where he's currently living to ask that they investigate the communication of harassment by electronic medium. Whoever is harassing my son, Devon Hart, obviously knows and has very intimate knowledge of his personal predicaments and what he's currently facing with both the civil and the family law courts. And I have made every effort to amicably resolve to stay away, live our life as we choose to. I don't care about her parents' immigration status.
but
And life is good.
we don't need to go into this
That's all I
any
have
further.
to say. That was brief, Your Honor.
Okay, all right,
Yes, Your
so
Honor.
that will conclude the hearing for today. All right,
Yes, Your
thank you,
Honor.
everybody.